The Steam Deck is a handheld that means a lot of things to a lot of people. For casual console gamers, it could be the first exposure to the PC gaming community, and for hardcore PC gamers, it could be meant as the first affordable option for PC handheld gaming compared to other devices of a similar type of performance or even better. So with the Steam Deck turning 3 years old in a few days, I just feel like it's a perfect time to just reflect on the major highlights of this handheld device, my predictions of Valve's plans moving forward, as well as share how it changed everything for gaming for me. So without further ado, let's check it out. So as far as PC handhelds go, they actually have been around in the market for a really long time. I mean, the first PC handheld is actually released by Atari, and it is called the Atari Portfolio, which is released in 1989, and it is considered as the first ever PC handheld. However, at that time, it was really not mainstream. I mean, a lot of you guys probably haven't even heard of it. Even for me, without doing the research, I actually did not know anything about the Atari Portfolio. I didn't even know that thing freaking exists. So it's safe to say that at that time, that was the forerunner for the PC handheld market. But at the same time, it really did not make PC handheld a mainstream thing. It was much more just a really niche market. But when the Steam Deck was revealed in 2021 and sold like crazy not too long after the 2022 release, that's when it really sparked the interest. That's when we start noticing a lot more about PC handhelds. PC handhelds became such a big deal. So right now I'm just gonna be highlighting a few of the more notable PC handhelds. I mean, specifically Asus with the ROG Ally brand, as well as Lenovo Legion Go, because since those two are considered as the ones that are just more mainstream, I mean, not as mainstream as the Steam Deck, but also at the same time the more notable competitors. Asus, believe it or not, they first expressed interest in doing a handheld PC back in 2018. However, it wasn't really a priority until Valve revealed the Steam Deck, made a success story after the release of the Steam Deck, and Asus was like, oh my gosh, the Steam Deck is just really cool, we need to figure out a way to step on the Steam Deck's shoulder. And that was when they just took the PC handheld project much more seriously, and then, as we all know, they started to release the first PC handheld, the ROG Ally, back in June 2023. And we also saw that in 2023, Lenovo also released the Legion Go, which was released back in October 2023. And so it's just really amazing how the Steam Deck was like a forerunner to this concept of making PC handhelds to become a thing, PC handhelds to be much more mainstream, but also at the same time, it really challenges other companies to make better PC handhelds, to take PC handhelds, this market, to become much more seriously due to the success of the Steam Deck, due to the Steam Deck's success of selling, multiple million copies of the handheld. That was something that was a really big deal, and it showed that there is potential in the PC handheld market. And so I want to also talk about, why PC gamers enjoy the Steam Deck despite it being less powerful. I mean, as a PC gamer, there are a lot of people who prefer the ROG Ally as well as the Lenovo Legion Go. Don't get me wrong, because they are a lot more powerful and they can play a lot more games. There are a lot of people that favor that, but there are also a lot of people that favor the Steam Deck as well. And I feel like it all comes down to their expectations, because for a lot of people that are really serious in the PC gaming world, they already have a really powerful PC that they run most of the really high graphics games, and they get to experience the games to the fullest. And as far as getting a handheld, it is just more of something on the side, kind of like if you went into a fast food restaurant, your main dish may be a burger or a sandwich, and then you have the fries and the drink as the side. For a lot of PC gamers, the handhelds are more like the fries and the drink, where it is just something to complement the meal. They want something that is just more affordable, something that is just, just a lot cheaper, and they're able to just take it on the go, whether it is going traveling, whether it's just going on a short bus ride to pass time. They just want something that can play quite a few of those higher quality games. And what I mean by higher quality games means kind of like the games that I mentioned in the top 20 must play list of games, like those type of games. They like to be able to run those type of games, but at the same time, they also don't want to spend too much on, a handheld, because at the end of the day, okay, I will have to say is that sure, the Lenovo Legion Go and the ROG Ally, you can totally disagree with this, but at the end of the day, I feel like what people are trying to get with it as far as the, the PC market is that they personally will want to play something that is really cool, really immersive, really mind-blowing as far as the graphics and whatnot. They want to be able to experience it fully, and to experience it fully, they want a much bigger screen, and they also want to just sit down at their, their couch or their gaming chair and just relax and, play the games to its fullest. And that's the thing about desktops, is desktop PCs still have the upper hand when it comes to graphics, even if you have a more powerful PC handheld. Sure, the ROG Ally X as well as the Lenovo Legion Go, they are more powerful than the Steam Deck, but at the same time, you can't really compare that to a full-blown desktop PC. There is still a difference. There's a totally different experience, and if you want to experience games fully to the fullest potential, the latest and greatest games that are able to do that, then it's still the best bet to experience it fully on a desktop PC that has all the capability, all the bells and whistles to be able to do all those types of stuff. And then there's also another thing that I will also say about, PC gamers, why they favor the Steam Deck as of right now. Things will be changed really soon, and that's something that I will get into later on in the video. But think about a lot of, gamers, they say that they prefer SteamOS instead of Windows running on a handheld. And like I said, with Lenovo Legion Go S Steam OS Edition coming out in May, and Valve's blueprint plan of releasing SteamOS to make it widely acceptable to all sorts of, tech and PC handhelds. But the major thing to drive home is that SteamOS was also something in which it was a game changer for a lot of people to want to play on the handheld. A lot of people prefer the SteamOS on a handheld over, a Windows handheld, which for the most part, PC handhelds, it's a very standard thing to have Windows as the default operating system for other handhelds that are not the Steam Deck. Now, as far as people like me who used to be console gamers, there are many who also kind of got interested in the Steam Deck. And the reason why some of these console gamers like me who express interest in the Steam Deck is one word: simplicity. I mean, the Steam Deck, there is the option to tinker around those different settings to optimize games better, but for the most part, a lot of games, they can run perfectly fine with the default settings. That you don't really have to go around and tinker every single game. I mean, some games, don't get me wrong, they may not run too well with the default settings, but at the same time, you don't always have to do all the tinkering work to get a game to run. I mean, a lot of games, for the most part, they are able to run with very minimal tinkering, and that is something in which console gamers, they look at this. It is something that is just very user-friendly, because they can just, sit at their chair or sit on their bed and just relax and play the games without worrying about major glitches in the current settings. I mean, yes, there are some games that you have to do the tinkering because the games won't run properly, and you have to have those different plugins in order for games to be more optimal. But for the most part, a lot of the games, as long as you do the proper updates and just launch the game, then the game is fine. The game will run perfectly fine and you will still enjoy it. And that is something in which the console gamers, they love it, because it is just a stepping stone for them to start getting into the PC gaming community. It is not something that requires a major learning curve in order to enjoy playing on the Steam Deck. So that is something that is just really cool. The Steam Deck, even though it is a PC handheld, due to it having the options to install different plugins, as well as tinker with the different graphic settings, to tinker with the different display, the optimal settings and and whatnot. That's what makes Steam Deck a PC handheld as opposed to a console handheld. But at the same time, it is something that is just really easy to use. It is really beginner friendly. There is that learning curve to do the tinkering, to do the different, plugins and how to use those kind of stuffs and whatnot. You can access desktop mode to do all that. But at the same time, for a lot of games that are playable and verified, doing those different settings are not mandatory. They may help with the performance, but at the same time, it's not a make or break kind of deal in my opinion. The Steam Deck is like one of those things where it is a PC handheld due to all the different bells and whistles that you can do with it, all the customization and whatnot. But at the same time, it really feels like a console. I mean, when you boot it up, it just automatically gets into the Steam store page. It's almost as if you were, booting up a Nintendo Switch or like booting up a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox. It is just really, really friendly, and you could be somebody who never even touches the desktop mode or very seldomly touch the desktop mode, depending on what you're doing with the Steam Deck, what games you're playing with the Steam Deck, and also depends on whether or not you really need to go there. It's not something that is heavily reliant on the desktop mode and learning the bells and whistles about the tinkering and stuff. It brings flavor to it, don't get me wrong, I'm not underplaying it, but at the same time, it's not mandatory in my opinion for every game to be able to run properly. It is very, very friendly and very, very fun to use. And for a lot of people that I encounter who decide to go with Steam Deck, they came from the Switch. The thing is that they said they love the Steam Deck because there are just so many more games that they're able to play that they're not able to play on the Switch. That's all they said, and they are really, really happy about it being user friendly and whatnot. And also the pricing as well, I will say it is also something that also attracts those different console gamers, because console gamers, for the most part, one of the other things other than simplicity is they also don't want to spend too much on the hardware side of things. And so for the Steam Deck, with the lowest end, the LCD model, the Steam Deck that is 256 gigs being $400, honestly, for a lot of the console gamers, it is not a really bad purchase. And for me, I really love the Steam Deck LCD as well. I didn't have a major problem with the Steam Deck LCD. I know the Steam Deck OLED is much better, and hence I have one right now. This is the OLED. I just got that recently because I started this channel, this type of content about a Steam Deck, and I felt like it's time to upgrade to give better content with the Steam Deck OLED. But for the most part, before making this channel, I was perfectly happy with the LCD. I was totally okay with the battery life. I mean, as an adult in the early 30s, you really don't have that much time to game anyways every day. And so for me, playing even 2 hours a day, that's plenty for me. I don't have time to play 4 or 5 hours every single day. So that's the thing about it, is that the $400 with the 256 gig, that is something that is plenty for me, and that is really not a bad purchase in my opinion. And also a lot of games still run really well, and I am just really impressed with it at a time. Like I said, the OLED is better, don't get me wrong, but the LCD, it's not a make or break in my opinion. I know some people, they think the OLED is a lot better, which is a lot better, but the LCD was not something that really disappointed me. But that's personal opinion. Some people will just say that it's a make or break. That's just personal opinion. Now, as far as my personal experience goes with the Steam Deck, I used to be a console gamer all my life. I started gaming back in the N64 days, and I just always stayed with the consoles all the way up to the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X. The Steam Deck was released back in February 2022. Now, that is a very interesting time in the gaming community. Ever since, I think, 2020, Sony has been actively porting their first-party games to the PC, specifically to Steam. Horizon Zero Dawn released on a PC in 2020, and then they followed that up with Days Gone, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, God of War 2018, and so yeah, it's just a thing in which Sony started to release more and more stuff on the PC, and for the most part, the Sony exclusives and the Microsoft exclusives exclusives, at least the ones that I want to play on the Steam Deck, they all work pretty well on the Steam Deck, whether it is, they play well just out of the box, or there's just a few little bits and pieces of tinkering. There is ways to make the games all work well on the Steam Deck and run properly. I mean, just as a side note, if you look at the face buttons, they all match the Microsoft Xbox controller face buttons, and then the triggers, they label it the same as Sony triggers as well. The L1, the L2, R1, R2, it just really feels as if it is a handheld that is designed for both the PlayStation fans and the Xbox fans. Conspiracy. Just kidding. But anyways, it really got to a point where I just couldn't defend myself into playing on the console. I was like at a point where, I felt like I don't mind diving myself into the PC gaming community in order to learn more. I mean, I'm always somebody who likes to learn new things. So I was like, even though it may not be as simple, even though I may from time to time have to learn how to tinker and whatnot, but I'm open to learn and try new things. So that was something that really motivated me to continue pushing myself into, getting into the Steam ecosystem, starting with the Steam Deck. And I love how I'm able to play all those different games in one place, except those Nintendo exclusives, obviously. So that was something in which it really mattered to me. I would say it has been nothing but a blessing. It was something that is just really great and really awesome. Now, as far as support goes with the Steam Deck, Valve is still actively supporting the Steam Deck despite the Steam Deck aging pretty fast in the PC community these past few years. Back in November 2023, Valve introduced the Steam Deck OLED, which is this device I have right now. And then we saw in November 2024, Valve releasing the Steam Deck officially in Australia. And then we also saw this past holiday season a new white OLED model, a limited edition, as well as the different small updates to improve the quality of gaming on the Steam Deck, whether it is improving battery life at lower settings for games that don't utilize the higher settings, as well as officially allowing game capturing to be a thing in the Steam Deck. Those were all things that I see that show that Valve, as of right now, is still actively supporting the Steam Deck. Now, what my predictions are with Valve's plan moving forward, I have to say this, is that even though they did mention that if they see a significant upgrade, that they will consider making a Steam Deck 2, but I feel like as of how things stand right now, there could be a possibility that the Steam Deck 2 will never be a thing. Back in 2021, Gabe Newell, the co-founder of Valve, he specifically said that he wants the Steam Deck to be a new PC handheld ecosystem. He said the keyword ecosystem. What I feel like what he meant by, a PC handheld ecosystem is SteamOS. Having SteamOS become something that is a standard, something that is normal, something that is mainstream in the PC handheld market, and using the Steam Deck as the perfect example, as the stepping stone, the forefront of the ecosystem. So that is what I feel Gabe Newell at the time was saying, is how he is fulfilling it right now by having SteamOS go to the other platforms to make it readily available to access on the other platforms, and also, partnering with Lenovo Legion Go for a SteamOS edition for the Lenovo Legion Go S. That is something that I feel that potentially could happen, is they are more focused in porting SteamOS to other platforms, which in my opinion, that is not really surprising, because Valve, for the most part, they were a software company. I mean, aside from the Steam machines that were a total flop back in 2015, and obviously right now with the Steam Deck, Valve, for the most part, is a software company. That is something that they are really good at, that is something that they are famous for, and that is something in which they present with authority. That is their real deal. So for them, I feel like they're just caring more for the software. But as a side note, with people loving the SteamOS, and where Valve is porting SteamOS to the other platforms, making it more readily available and people love it, honestly, that is something that I find really interesting. That's something that's going to be really exciting going down the line. I will be really curious to see whether or not game producers may look to have their anti-cheat components to work with Linux and SteamOS. Since more people will be gaming on the SteamOS, they have the option to play on SteamOS. Would game producers start looking to have their anti-cheat, softwares to be compatible with Linux and SteamOS? That is something that I feel potentially could happen. And if that happens, then that would be cool, because then, with SteamOS, you can play more games that are multiplayer on the go, and that would be a win-win situation for everyone. But again, we shall wait and see to see whether or not that will happen. But yeah, guys, this is my reflection on the Steam Deck so far, coming towards 3 years in its lifespan. Let me know in the comment section below, what do you love about the Steam Deck? Do you feel like Valve will release a Steam Deck 2? We'll love to hear in the comment section below. And as always, if you love gaming discussions, gaming lists, gaming reviews, and everything related to the Steam Deck, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe so you not miss another video. I try to post Mondays and Fridays around 6 p.m. Pacific time, so yeah, stay tuned. Once again, my name is Joe Wang from the Nomadic Gaming Guild, and game on!